Hey everybody, my name's Kevin Hart, and usually I do a lot of I've done some podcasts and such through the radio station, but I'm joined by one of my best friends, Max Stone, who has we've known each other so long. I mean, and we always love watching and talking about movies and all sorts of other happenings, goings on, grammar maybe, and and we thought it'd be a good idea. And this is actually your idea that we get together and talk about some movies, specifically for today, sequels that may or may not be very good. Sometimes, usually they're not good, but we'll see. Um, but I'm Kevin. Max, if you want to introduce yourself, and
Yeah, my
yeah,
name is Max, and we're two white guys with no experience in the film industry. So I figured there's no more important voices to hear reviews from.
you really underrepresented and groundbreaking stuff to put forward. Yeah. No, but this is I'd been but one thing we love doing, we've always loved doing, is there's so many awful sequels to movies. Horror movies especially have it
Oh yeah.
somewhat the worst. And we had the we used to sometimes we would watch, if we hadn't seen an entire movie series, we'd watch them backwards and watch the movies get progressively better.
Oh yeah.
We did that with
We saw Sleepaway Camp
Sleepaway
three,
Camp
two, and one.
3, 2, and 1. We have to watch Sleepaway Camp 4 because that actually, like, I mean, it's like a Superman 2 where they had to like recobble a bunch of footage and then put stock footage in it. But
You've never seen any of the Phantasms either, which would be a
yeah,
great one to go backwards in because
yeah,
it's already extremely confusing going forwards.
yeah. And we got to Sleepaway Camp 1 and we're like, dang, this is like a really good movie. It's a shame we watched
Yeah.
Teenage Wasteland first.
And it completely ruins the twist ending
It
too.
does, yeah. Because it's like, wow, this would have been amazing had I not, known. But and that's and that's something that actually plays into Psycho 2 a little bit. I just jumped right into it, but the movie we're talking about is Psycho 2, which is the sequel to Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece, and in my opinion, one of the most perfect movies ever, Psycho from 1960. I mean, that
So
is
Kevin,
what's
you
up.
picked Psycho 2.
I
Why
did pick.
why did you decide to pick Psycho 2?
So here's what I think about Psycho 2. Now, it's a running joke between me and Max that I used to think RoboCop 3 was one of the best movies ever when I was younger. And by younger, I mean freshman in high school. Um, and I still stand by that movie, even though it is terrible. No money, no
Yeah.
budget, acting's terrible, but it's a fun movie to watch. When I was younger, even younger than that, I watched Psycho 2 in 12 parts on YouTube, I think.
Oh my
Um,
God. A
and
classic.
I was home from school. I think I was sick, and I had an entire bag of Jay's kettle cooked chips, and I sat there and I watched Psycho 2 in 10 parts, and I liked it, and I loved Psycho. I saw that when I was young, and that's always stuck with me. But I liked Psycho 2, and the older I got, and I realized, there's a lot of these movies I watched when I was younger that really weren't that good that I liked. But there was buzz online from people. I mean, the Angry Video Game Nerd was one of them, and there's other people who say, "Hey, Psycho 2, really isn't as bad as you probably think it is." Um, and so I was like, well, maybe I don't know. I don't know about this movie. I liked it, but again, I've liked some terrible things before, so maybe my
Did you
judgment's not good on this.
did you rewatch Psycho 2?
I did. I have it on DVD actually.
Nice. I was wondering if you did. You're a big physical media
I
guy.
do. I have it. I don't have 3 and 4, which I do want to get. Although I can tell you before we get to those that they're pretty bad. Um, but again, I haven't watched those either since I was like in 8th or 9th grade. So I I just Psycho 3 is a weird movie. I remember that. Like, it's really freaking weird. Really fucking, we can cuss. I don't care. We're not, no FCC violations. But I'm used to trying to self-censor myself there. But no, but yeah, I rewatched it. I think on Monday. I think I rewatched it. Monday
Sure.
night. And yeah, I had a lot of I think I had thumbed through it a couple years ago. It's probably when I got the DVD, but I hadn't really like sat down and actually watched it in one fell swoop. So I think I'll tell you what, let's if you want to, we can cut to YouTube here and I can play the trailer and then so sort of set the scene for the movie if you'd like to.
But first, I want to tell you how I watched Psycho 2 because
Okay.
I do not own the DVD. And I told you this is a great idea. We should watch Psycho 2 because I got on the Roku app and it's like, yeah, you can watch Psycho 2 for free on the Halloween channel, which I had never heard of the Halloween channel. I downloaded the app. I hit it on Roku to watch Psycho 2, and then the Halloween channel comes up and it literally looks like something made in MS Paint or something made on like a GeoCities website. It looks completely terrible. Oh god, it's so unreal how bad this fake bullshit app is. And they also did not even have Psycho 2 on
Really?
there.
Okay.
Since I downloaded the app, I figured I'd try to watch something on there. I scrolled through their entire catalog. They literally have less than 100 movies on the entire app. It's mostly stuff that was made pre-1960, like that.
Like the original House of Wax and stuff like that.
Like you could have your own The Halloween channel for maybe $2,000. Is how much they paid for the rights to all these movies.
There's so many like awful horror movies though that are in the public domain. You could feasibly do that.
Yeah.
And you could have not Nightmare, but Night of the Living Dead is public domain. You could put that on there.
Yeah.
That's your like one good movie. And then you have
they've got like Son of the Wolf Man and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, like those B classic movies.
Oh yeah.
I watched a little bit of The Frogs, which is a horror movie about frogs.
Okay.
It's got like a 4 point something on IMDb, and it's actually Sam Elliott's first leading role in a film. You can't tell it's him because he doesn't have a mustache and he doesn't talk like a cowboy. But I watched 15 minutes of it, and in the 15 minutes, there were 9 commercial breaks. And 9 of the commercials were for Johns Hopkins School of Business. Eight of the 9 were. Which I don't know who Johns Hopkins thinks is watching the Halloween channel and gonna apply, but
they got some. But that is 100% on brand for those. Like, because I have I have Tubi and stuff also, which we watch stuff on.
This puts Tubi to shame.
Because Tubi, we had like I think like
I'm a Tubi defender.
I like Tubi. I was going to talk.
I like 4 They played 3 Olive Garden commercials in a row, like
on RoboCop when we watched it. It was like and I was like, damn, I want some of their calamari now after watching that. But yeah, then they would but no, that sounds like Back to the Future on VH1. Where they had like 9-minute commercial breaks in it. That's the one of the worst.
I just ended up renting it on Prime. So that's the gist of my story. We can watch that trailer now.
I have a petition here signed by 743 people against Norman Bates' release.
Madam, please sit down. This matter is being represented by the district attorney.
Norman was not convicted of murder. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Don't you realize they're going to release a homicidal maniac?
You to sit down, Mrs. Loomis.
It's all too obvious. Our courts protect the criminals, not their victims.
Norman Bates is judged, restored to sanity, and is ordered released forthwith.
It's 22 years later, and Norman Bates is coming home.
I own a motel not too far from here, and you'd be welcome to spend the night in one of the empty rooms if you'd like.
Good night, Mary.
And he's back in business.
Who is this? My mother is dead. I'm telling you, there was a note on that wheel from my dead mother.
Norman, it couldn't be your mother. It had to be someone else.
But trust her. She would never do anything to hurt me. No. She'll kill you. I know she will.
Look out behind you!
No, I won't do that. You can't make me kill her.
22 years later, Norman Bates is home. Psycho 2.
I like the opening to that trailer is a significant portion of the original Psycho film, just like the opening of Psycho 2. My first thought was, wow,
they played that
are really
whole
milking
fucking scene
that.
at the beginning of the movie. By the way, I thought how it's cut in the trailer. I thought the curtain opens and then it went to the titles because that's how I remember it. But I was like, they're showing like the whole entire scene. And I get in the 80s, you didn't have YouTube to go back and rewatch it, but like I think you get the gist when you hear that. You probably remember it. Man.
Before we hop into it, I wondered, I figured we'd probably maybe at the end of this say like our star ratings, but
Sure.
what was your general impression? You said as a
the
kid you
movie.
kind of liked this movie.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it as an adult?
Now let me tell you, I will preface this by saying very obviously there is no way in hell that this is anywhere close to as good as the original Psycho.
No, and I don't think anyone expects that.
Yeah. But I think it's decent. I think it holds up way better than I expected it to. I really don't think it's that terrible. There are moments which I'll bring up similar to the opening of the movie where it's like, all right, we get it. And there are certain things in it, and there's a lot of twists in it too. And one of the twists in particular is really dumb, really, really terrible. And so we'll get to it. And obviously this is going to be a spoiler review of both the movie and Psycho. I know probably everyone's seen Psycho, but if you haven't, I would go watch that because it's really good.
Yeah, it's much better than this podcast will be. Personally, I did not like Psycho 2.
Okay.
I was honestly kind of shocked to look at like the IMDb and like Letterboxd reviews. This thing reviews pretty decently. It's got a 6.5 on IMDb and I think something pretty similar on Letterboxd. So, better than down the middle. I didn't expect it to be complete garbage, and it definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
But I disagree with that. I think it's a little worse than that.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's very the trailer, I think this is where they were starting to cut trailers better than movies, because I was like, wow, this is really good. I will ask you this. What did you think of Anthony Hopkins? Because I think he's really creepy in this.
Anthony Perkins.
God damn it. Anthony Perkins. Tony Perkins.
You big dummy.
Yes.
Yeah. I was completely shocked that they got the actor back, and they got the sister actor back too.
They did.
Vera Miles.
They got Vera Miles back. So
I thought he did a great job. I think he's super creepy in Psycho. I think he puts on an amazing performance in Psycho, and then in Psycho 2, I think the biggest problem is he's just on screen a little too much. It's hard to feel uncomfortable with the guy you spend 2 hours with, but he does a good job for what's written.
He does, yeah. And he's, and you can tell, it's been, as they say, 22 years, and he's really, really trying to get back into society. Like, this cannot happen anymore. And then one of my favorite characters in the movie, who you might recognize as the asshole cop from Die Hard 2.
Now, in the meantime, you get the hell out of my office before I have been thrown out of my goddamn airport.
Dennis Franz runs the motel now, and
Yeah,
and he is just a piece of shit, and I love it. He's hilarious.
he looks a lot like Ron Jeremy.
He does. That's what he looked like in this one. That's what I was like. He's like, yeah, he's got the mustache and everything. But no, he was yeah, I think he's great. Also, Robert Loggia plays his doctor, who that's another that's a pretty good get, for
That is
the
a
movie.
good get.
Yeah,
I'm sure this movie was star-studded at the time.
yeah. But I mean, there's other aspects of the movie that are maybe not as good. But so with the premise of the movie, you kind of get the first part of it, and like we said, it does start with a full 2 minutes of the shower scene in black and white, and then it goes to the title sequence.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the courtroom, and it plays out about how it does there. And then Norman Bates is working in a diner, which is like conveniently kind of near his hotel.
Within like walking distance of his hotel. Yes.
Yeah.
He does live in a shitty city that's off the old highway, so reasonable that it's like some dead city with a dead motel and a dead diner. You've been to those cities.
Oh no, I totally have. Yeah, it's very yeah. I mean, it's just one of those funny movie coincidences where it's like, yeah, instead of getting it, because you would think but it's his house and he wants to still live there. So it's I don't know.
So the co-star really is this young girl that he works with at the diner who has had some trouble of her own, and he comes in as a guy who has this hotel and can give her a place to stay and can be helpful, and they form this bond. What do you think of that sort of plot point in that actress?
Okay, so that's Meg Tilly, I believe, doing that. Yeah, she's fine, I guess. I mean, she about fills the role, I guess, you need to be for that. But like,
horror movie,
all
right.
She's all right. I mean, listen, there's, and especially even in the Psycho like sequels, so there's some pretty terrible performances in those, and she's fine for what she needs, I guess. But she's there as a reminder of, oh, a young attractive woman is staying at the hotel and mother wouldn't like that. That's but there's a reason for that, and this is, I don't know if we want to jump yet into spoiler territory, but talking about her character, we're going to have to eventually.
I mean, we might as well, because nearly the rest of the plot is that
revolves around
he fires the scumbag at the hotel, and then a bunch of murders start at the hotel.
Yeah, and somebody shows up dressed like Norman's mother, and with that same kitchen knife, stab, kills Dennis Franz. And they're like, what happened to him? And he's like, oh, I fired him. And that's that. And then, yeah. So
some teens in the basement.
These teens are necking in the basement of his house.
Maybe my absolute favorite scene. Those two teens who come into the basement have not been introduced in the film at all. The film has gone on for an hour at this point.
They're just
they immediately sneak in the window, smoke weed, and start having sex and get murdered. It's like your classic slasher.
Sound in the next room.
You just don't.
It's totally, yeah, because this was 83, so they were totally like,
oh yeah,
that was the thing to do in horror movies. So you gotta have
like Halloween remake type movies.
Yeah, so they had that going on. The boyfriend is killed. The girl is like, shell shocked or whatever, and then
there's a very horny kiss where he grabs her tit, and one of the horniest kisses I've seen in a movie in a while.
Going for it. I mean,
it's like 20 seconds of open mouth kissing and groping,
and
then probably the best kill in the movie. He gets killed in the window the same way he does in the trailer.
Yeah, it's pretty great. He's trying to get out, but he's not fast enough. So yeah, that's sort of how that plays out. So these murders are happening, and on top of this, now before Dennis Franz got killed, there was somebody was leaving notes for him that were
Yes.
like, I don't want that slut in my house anymore, mother. And it would be, stuff like that.
And he's getting phone calls as well.
he's getting phone calls from his mother.
I like her. No. No, of course not. Not as much as you.
And he's and you're wondering, is he like imagining this? Is it starting again? Which is what he says in the movie. And or is something else at work here? And it's sort of, it is very, if you can suspend your disbelief, sort of implied that Norman is like escaping out and killing these people dressed as his mother, which is what I thought initially. And this is where we have to get into the spoiler territory, because the first plot twist of this is not the one that I hate the most, actually. I don't think it's terrible, but it's also really, it's very like, we're gonna call on the old movie. So what happens is Lila Loomis, who's Vera Miles, who's come back to play the role, she has been walking around the motel dressed as Norman's mother, and she bumps into Meg, and Meg goes, Mother,
what are you doing here? Go back to the hotel before you ruin everything.
Answer my question. Why did you alibi Bates?
that happened, and I was like, oh God, that's what this, I remember this. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Right.
I thought it was a decent twist. I mean, it makes sense that she would be sort of like the antagonist in this film. It's nice that they got her back from the original. She shows up at the beginning in the courtroom scene, and I mean, it's a logical twist that also like it got me. I figured it was Norman. I wasn't trying to think too hard. But
no, because
I figured it was Norman.
Because when he gets locked, because the two teens in the basement, Norman's locked in the attic and can't get out. So you're like, how did he manage to do that? But then there's a part minutes later where you see him going down some sort of secret passage, and you're like, oh, maybe he did that. But yeah, no, then you find out that.
Does that reveal happen before or during the second shower scene? Because they do a remake of the original Psycho shower scene.
And because it's the 80s, they can show a lot more than they could in the 60s. But it is
show tit.
They do, but they have he has the he has the picture that he takes off. He's got the hole that he looks through. I think that's after it, because she's really starting to get like,
the boob scene seemed totally unnecessary.
Totally. That's every 80s. Yeah, I was like, they had to do that.
There was also really bad synth playing. That's one thing that I noticed this whole movie is the music is bad. It doesn't really know what it wants to do. The music in the original Psycho is classic. It's amazing.
Spoiled by that Bernard Herrmann score from the first movie is just like a masterpiece of its own.
They like to dance this line between the violins and the orchestra and like the 80s synth, and they just do both kind of poorly.
Yeah, it's like you either have to go for one, because I think the later movies tried to like recreate that score, but yeah, this one, there's like, they have like the electric piano going like wah, 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 during the murders, and it's like, what is this?
That was pretty good.
But then thanks. But they have the like but then then they'll have like real strings. And you would think, at least for the stabbing kills, that they would try to have like strings to do the callback.
Yeah,
maybe they could
have the dun 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 dun,
which it's very, there's like adjacent music cues from the original movie, is how I can describe it. They tried, and it's like they didn't have the rights to the original score, even though they had the rights to the movie, which, because they could play the whole clip with the music at the beginning. So I don't know. I think I think there's merits to the score on its own if you listen to it, but like, yeah, it's the kind of movie it is. It's just like really weird and out of place. It's just kind of didn't really do it for me, but
yeah. Another thing that didn't really do it for me was the kills. I mean,
okay, but there is one kill that I really love though. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but
I really love the horny teen kill. I thought
That's a good one.
which one do you really like?
I like I like because eventually Lila Loomis gets a bit big for her britches, and you think she's doing the killing, but then Mother shows up and shoves a knife down her throat. I loved that. I was like, that's amazing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean the other kills are like Dennis Franz is like exactly the same as when he kills the cop in the original movie. He doesn't go down the stairs, but it's it's the
that's the whole
Yeah.
cool part of the first movie though. I love that shot where he goes down the stairs, and I don't even know how they made that effect. It looks great though.
They did. So I remember seeing there's a really good, I don't know if they have it on the streaming services, but there was a documentary that came with the DVD and Blu-ray that's like 90 minutes long, and they talk about like every aspect of the movie. And I forget how they did. They had him like, I think it was some sort of rear projection, but they had but they had like a weird angled like cart that he was standing on so that he was like it looked like he was falling.
It looks like he's on rails or something, the way he falls so smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not save from a couple moments like that, grasping at the window, not a whole lot of that creative cinematography in this one, I gotta say. Although there are some parts near the very end again that are like pretty well done special effect wise. But there's a lot of like recreating, the tracking shots just to remind people of, hey, remember when we looked straight down at him going up the stairs? We're gonna do it again.
Remember when this was impressive 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Now it's essential to modern film, and we're acting like it's new again.
Yeah. So that's so with Lila Loomis, and of course we just said she ends up dying late in the movie, but she and Mary, that's her name.
Mary.
Yep. Which is interesting because she goes by Mary Samuels, which is the fake name that Marion used in the Ledger in the first movie, which I think is a cool callback.
That is a cool callback. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. But it's they are both dressing up as Mother at some point, and then Lila Loomis is doing the calls from either the front desk or sometimes from her hotel room, I think sometimes. But so they see there's that going on, and Mary ends up like, despite the fact that Norman is like 30 years her senior and really creepy, she's like, oh well, he's so nice.
It's insane to me the way she acts around this man who everyone in town, it seems like, is telling her that he is a killer. And
I can fix him.
The plot point that gets her to the hotel is that she doesn't have a place to stay, and then she ends up staying the next night at a girlfriend's house, and he's like, you can stay in my house, it's no trouble.
He's like,
why don't you come over? I think he'd really prefer it at my place. It's just so
he seriously does do, because you see in the trailer he's like, well, I have a hotel, but that's like the first scene where she's like, my boyfriend's blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, but yeah, she's like, I'm gonna stay with the girlfriend, but yeah, he's like 3 or 4 times, it's like, really? You can, it's not a problem, you can stay upstairs, I have a spare room, it's fine, you can stay with me, please.
It goes so quickly from her not knowing this man to defending with the police. She ends up on Norman's side near the end of the movie.
Oh yeah. She even like when the kid dies, she even like cleans it up for him and like is his alibi.
And she gives him a fake alibi.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Do what?
Lie to the sheriff. You weren't with me this afternoon.
If this movie was made a few years after the original and Tony Perkins was still a young, good-looking guy, maybe, but he looks like he's 65 years old, which he probably is.
He doesn't look bad at all.
No, he doesn't look bad.
Significantly,
but she
older
looks like
than
she's
her.
like 20. She's like, she couldn't have been any more than like 21 or something in this movie.
Oh yeah, if that, she looks very young.
She looks really young. So it's just one of those odd things. I just look at it and and I don't think
about the runtime for this movie, Kev.
That's another thing I want to get to because
It is an hour and 53 minutes.
That is
With the original Psycho is an hour 49.
And it does so much better pacing wise and packs so much more in. This movie, okay, first of all, I'm gonna just go on a limb and say there's maybe 90 minutes of this movie, and you could cut the rest of it out. And
Easily.
once you get to the hour and 37-minute mark, that's when the movie should be over, in my opinion, because this is where we're gonna get to the ending of the movie. And we can talk more about the movie after we talk about the ending, of course. But
I paused it at an hour in to go to the bathroom, and I was in disbelief that there was 50 minutes left.
It's really like it does not need
It's 4 minutes longer than the original Psycho, and it feels 40 minutes longer.
And 2 minutes of that is the first scene where they replay the shower scene.
Yeah, so identical run times, essentially.
Yeah, so it's so what ends up happening in the movie is Lila Loomis gets killed by Mother, who Norman is more and more saying, my mother's alive, my mother's doing these killings, my mother, and he's talking to her on the phone. And this is the point in the movie where you're like, okay, so Norman is actually killing these people, but how? So what ends up happening is Mary starts to like lose it on Norman, and she's like, your mother's not alive and all this stuff, and she thinks he's doing the killing. And this is actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when she's being backed into the fruit cellar where that movie, the first movie, ends.
And you're my loving mother, so please give me the knife. Time to go to the fruit cellar.
For what I was kind of making fun of Meg Tilly at the beginning, she does her best acting in that final scene. I mean, she
absolutely.
You did it.
Let me help you.
You killed them all.
He thinks basically now just that she's Mother, that she's been doing these killings, and he's like, I'll help you, I'll do all this stuff. And then it sort of kind of steals the ending of The Omen, where she's about to kill him and the police come in and shoot her.
God, help me, please. Let me help you.
You killed them all.
And then they're like, well, she was doing all the killing, see? So then you're like,
is that the twist that you hate?
No, it's not. That's not the twist that I hate. Although that would be a good way to end the movie, because you'd be like, all right, Norman's crazy. He's back to doing, murders, and he's unlearned everything he learned in the asylum for the past 22 years in about like 2 weeks, probably. Now, this is the natural stopping point for the movie, because there's a scene parallel to the original movie where the cop is explaining everything to the other cops. It's the same scene, and he's like, what was happening is they were pretending to be this. But then it goes on for another like 15 minutes, and this is the worst part of the movie for me. Norman goes back home, and this woman named Emma Spool, who runs the diner that conveniently Norman used to work at, she reveals that Norman was adopted by Norma Bates, and that Emma Spool is his real mother, and that she was the one doing all the killings. And Norman,
I watched this on the same day as you, and I blocked this out of my memory already.
Because it's so, you're just like, what the fuck? Who cares about this at this point? Like, why is this part of the movie? Like, what is this like? But this is like indicative of those like 80s movies where they would have those ridiculous twist endings that don't mean anything. I mean, this comes out of literally fucking nowhere. There's like 2 or 3 times I could even think in the like beginning of the movie that would even hint to this, and that's the note on the wheel, and like that's like all I can think of. And so what ends up happening is Norman has a shovel in his kitchen, and he kills her with the shovel, and he puts
rings her with it.
Yeah, he does, man. He fucking gets her. It's like that girl who got hit with the shovel. You remember that Vine?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But it's so he has her body, she's dead, and he puts her up in the window, and the cycle continues. And that is that I think that is the worst part of them. I mean, I think I thought the movie, I was like, this is way better than I remembered. And I was like, I'm really gonna have to go to bat if Max doesn't like this because I really think it's fine. And this happened, and I'm like, fuck this. Are you serious? This like
Yeah, that is a completely pointless end.
and I mean, I still think the movie up to that point is fine, but I mean, an ending like that really does sour a movie quickly, as a lot of us know.
I just think the biggest problem with Psycho 2, and this is sort of my thesis of the film, is
Okay.
Psycho 2 was made by people who thought there needed to be a Psycho 2.
Yeah.
It's just like it has no soul. It's crazy to see all of the remakes you can sort of look at back from the 80s that remade these movies from the 60s and 50s and even the 70s. It's just like now, time is a flat circle. We're remaking movies from the 90s now, and no one will ever make anything original except Morbius, of course. It's the summer of Morbius.
I was gonna say Morbius, which has 113% on Rotten Tomatoes, the best movie ever. Long live Morbius. Oh boy. That's a movie we can watch sometime. I didn't watch it, but it's short, apparently. It's a really short.
I mean, I will not pay in the theaters to see Morbius.
Well, you know, we have a pirate song in SpongeBob. I have some experience sailing the seven seas. I'm sure we can watch it somehow. Oh my goodness. No, it's there is no reason that movie needs to exist. As decent as it is up until the ending, it's like the Bates Motel TV show, which I know people like. I know it has 3 seasons. I know it has a huge following. I didn't really.
It's got like an 8 point something on IMDb.
Yeah, and maybe I'll go back and watch because I loved Hannibal. We both loved Hannibal because I was originally like, who cares? That's one of the best shows I've seen ever. I loved. That's like A+ television. So
that's artfully made with soul and wonderful actors, though.
Yes, unlike Psycho 2, which save Tony Perkins.
Save Anthony, yeah.
I mean, that's about it. And yeah, Robert Loggia, but I mean, so
he's barely in it. He does a good job, but he's
underused.
2.5 scenes.
He shows up at the beginning to be like, "Well, it looks like you're doing well," and then he's the one who says, "I think that Lila Loomis is pretending to be your mother," and that's like all he's in it.
Yeah, he drops in on him twice. That's pretty much it.
He drops in to tell us what the plot is if we haven't seen it. Man, yeah, it was fun going back and watching this because it really was like I had not seen this in years and years and years, and I'm like, and I was like, I forgot that ending. By the way, I thought that it was Norman, and I thought he just killed this woman randomly. I probably wasn't paying attention, but like I was like, why? What? Like, so did she get him the job at the diner? Like, what is this? But then here's the thing though, Psycho 3 runs with that plot point, and it just gets crazier. Like
maybe they had Psycho 3 sort of in the oven before Psycho 2 came out.
They might have. And then Psycho 4 is called The Beginning. It was a TV movie, and it's basically just the origin story of like kid Norman becoming, and it actually it retcons the whole Emma Spool thing, interestingly enough.
I'm just glad Tony Perkins got some work,
and
he got a check.
And look, he is a professional, and he did his damnedest in that and in Psycho 3. 4 he's just narrating 4, but I mean, and he was a good, he was a singer on Broadway. He did all this stuff, but he played Psycho, and that was his like.
So in the end, Kevin, what's your review? What's your star rating?
My star rating for Psycho 2.
You doing 0 to 5 stars or 0 to 4 stars?
Let's do 5. We'll do 5. I like doing 5 stars.
Me too.
That's what YouTube used to do.
Just to clear up any confusion.
Yeah, but I mean, it was looking like a 3.5, maybe even 4-star movie for a good part of it, because I was like, really, for a movie that does not need to exist, this is pretty damn good. Like, comparatively. That ending drops it down to like a probably a 3 for me. Maybe even I would go as far as to I'm gonna stick at 3 just because I think
Yeah.
there is so much good in the movie, but the like bad twists really I wouldn't be surprised if it knocked down for you even further because I think I would say 3 out of 5 stars for this one. I mean, if it's on TV ever or if it's on the Halloween channel, you can watch it.
But if the Halloween channel can afford the rights again, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, my rating, like I said, yours is sort of along the lines of what the critics say, around that 3-star mark, and I'm gonna go a little lower. I don't think it was terrible. I wouldn't give this movie like a 1 star or a half star, something abysmal, but you know, with the weak plot, the weak music, the totally unnecessary to make this film, I'm gonna go 2 out of 5.
Yeah, that's I mean I totally understand that. It's I mean everything that was great about the first movie is sorely missed other than Anthony Perkins. I mean, like you said, the music I mean no one can touch Bernard Herrmann anyways, but I mean you can at least try. Yeah, the story is I mean it's about as thin as but it's thin and then it like twists at the very end in like not a good way. And
You know, there's a couple decent twists. I really don't hate the sister coming back, and I really don't hate
because she would
the Omen ending.
the Omen end.
That third twist is awful, man.
That is that really sealed it for me because I'm like, man, it's this for goddamn ridiculous. I was like, really, like, come on. And he's like playing with his mother's ashes. I'm like, man, dude, like, but not his ashes because she's in the coffin. They show her coffin. He has a tin. I think it has tea in it or something. I don't know. I always thought that was like a weird urn that he has his mother's ashes in. I might be looking too much into that.
No, because they have to open the coffin and there's a skeleton in there.
Yeah. God, the movie should just end at 90 minutes when they
Yeah,
like
it would be fine.
when Mary dies. That's the natural like
Once again, it's just foretelling the future. So many 2 and 2.5 hour movies coming out that
goddamn
don't need to be that long.
They don't.
I think the newest Fast and the Furious movies runtime's like almost 3 hours or something.
That doesn't need to be. I mean, none of them. I mean, even the like, first Fast and Furious movies were just like car movies with like pop music and you know hot girls and shirtless guys.
You could pretend it was serious though. When your movie's called Fate of the Furious, spelled F8, like give it a rest.
Yeah. Jesus. I mean, that was super long. The new James Bond movie was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. The new Batman movie, which I want to watch, is 3 hours long.
Yeah, I still gotta watch that too. I've only not watched it because I can't carve out 3 hours to sit down.
I can't. I have no time. I can't watch it.
Speaking of sitting down and watching a movie, we gotta watch another movie for
yes, we
next
are.
record.
What would you like to watch? I'll let you pick it because I picked Psycho 2.
I want to watch Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2. Okay.
Yeah,
I've
never seen Gremlins 2.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen Gremlins. I haven't seen Gremlins
Me
2.
too.
So.
Well, that's exciting. We'll both come in fresh.
Yeah, that'll be good. Sometime we can you know wait a little bit to you know do the other Psycho movies. 3.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, I looked up some clips from 3, and it is a weird fucking movie, and it's it might be one of those things where it's so weird you might even like it better than 2 just because it's not like it's not.
Oh sure.
But yeah, so we'll see. 4 is not. 4 is basically Bates Motel, but like not in modern times. Like it takes place in the 40s. But I have to watch Bates Motel sometime, I guess, or at least look at it like
give it
more seriously. Because I mean, if it's like Hannibal, I mean, like I said, Hannibal's the gold standard at this point for taking old properties back and turning them into TV shows.
It's hard to live up to Hannibal, though. It's hard to live up with anything with Mads. I would have said a year ago, but now he's in that new Harry Potter series.
Well, hey, you know what? Listen, he you know, it's work at this point,
the
right?
Fantastic Beasts and the
and
Curse of...
You know what? Here's what Mads Mikkelsen talked about. Did you hear this when he talked about method acting, and he's like, method acting is bullshit. You should just be able to know how to like do shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unless he was a cannibal and he's trying to hide that.
Yeah, he's also got a guy in his basement that he's got in a chair and he's kicking him in the balls.
Because he like James, because he like, I mean, we all love Anthony Hopkins, not Tony Perkins, as Hannibal Lecter. But I mean,
you're gonna have to cut out that mistake in the beginning.
No, I'll keep it in. I don't mind. But nah, dude. Mads does a great job, and you know what I love? I love that people really they're watching Succession now and they're saying how great Brian Cox is. Because I'm like, my boy, the original Hannibal Lecter, Brian Cox, is getting his love that he deserves.
The Manhunter, Brian
Yes.
Cox.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I need to watch that too. I hear that's very good.
Well, I think that about does it for us, Kev.
Okay. Well, this was fun. It was fun catching up a little bit, and of course, talking about one of our favorite pastimes, terrible sequels to great movies.
Yeah.
They're just
We'll be back soon with Gremlins 2.
Yes, maybe we can
the new batch.
the new batch. That's right. Well, that'll be fun. We can do a a Chuck Norris movie marathon or Steven Seagal or something at some point. There's plenty of Seagal movies to trudge through. The one with we need to watch that one with Ja Rule in it. That has to be the worst one.
I also want to watch that Jean-Claude Van Damme Terminator ripoff, Cyborg. It looks really.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, I watched about 15 minutes of it, and the beginning is pretty shot for shot. I don't know if he time travels, but it's Terminator.
Well, you got to distinguish from Time Cop, right? I mean, you got to like take the rough.
Time Cop rules.
Time Cop is good. Time Cop is one of his better movies. Unlike what was the one where he played his own twin brother? That was like fun.
Double Impact.
Oh,
he played his own twin brother who was raised in like America and China, but they both have French accents.
But they're both just Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like,
oh yeah,
they have some wonderful green screen moments. That's those are the kind of but see, Will Smith did a movie like that. He did, I think it was Gemini Man, where he had to fight like his younger self. He did that recently.
They should have got Jaden for it.
Fight my worst enemy, Chris Rock.
Oh god.
Oh, you don't need to get into that. No. But oh boy. All right. No, that's that'll do it. Gremlins 2, then Bad Batch, the next batch next time.
The
new batch.
Gremlins 2.
The Bad
Gremlins
Batch
2 colon something.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right.
Cool, that was fun, Kevin.
That was fun. I enjoyed that quite a bit.